Boom! What's going on, guys? 360 Digital Closing Bell Daily Energy Market Summary, episode number 138 here on this gorgeous Thursday, October 15th, 2020. We are kind of live on YouTube from an undisclosed location here in Denver, Colorado. As always, I am your humble correspondent, Michael Tanner, joined by the executive producer of the show, the purveyor of the show, the director and publisher of the world's greatest website, oilandgas360.com, and international man of mystery, Stuart Turley. How you doing today?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, Michael.
It really is. Your last day in Denver here. We're shooting the show a little early, getting you back to an undisclosed location somewhere in Dallas, or we'll just say in the central time zone, let's just say, for people. But, guys, we have a great show for you lined up. We got a double dipping on Thursday, Columbus Day being off, so we've got crude oil inventories and natural gas inventories to cover. Markets be going crazy on that. Chaparral Energy is now private, but probably lining itself up for Chapter 33. We'll cover all of that and a bag of chips as well. Stu will have some stuff in the international news desk. Equity markets do a little slight movement onto the downside today. But first, guys, just subscribe. 360 Digital Closing Bell, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, the best way to stay up to date on all of your energy market news. It was really the third straight day of declines. If you're looking at the overall equities market, stimulus talks look fairly unlikely to actually go anywhere. Steve Mnuchin, Secretary Mnuchin, and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi were scheduled to meet later today. We're recording this about 1 o'clock. They should be meeting as we speak. To be honest, I don't know if stimulus is going to happen before the election. I think a lot of it is just verbal jousting that's going on. I don't think anybody has really an incentive to get anything done before the election. Specifically on President Trump's, I think he's worried about some other stuff. So very interesting to see how the stimulus talks come through. I doubt we see anything. XOP contract was up big today, a little more off the back of how some of that U.S. dollar stuff is doing. Tech companies, though, were down huge. Nasdaq was our biggest loser on the day, about 1.5% on the downside as major tech stocks slide. There's some stuff going on over at Twitter with some sense. I think some of these big tech names that operate those big S&P 500, they're going to be coming under pretty heavy scrutiny. I mean, Stu, we're talking about, they could be begging for regulation anytime soon. It's going to be very interesting to see how some of these big blue chip names play out. Equities note that did come out, though. A lot of the top guys are saying the blue chips are probably going to be the place to stay as we move forward, especially because we saw Europe today moving out, going back into some lockdowns. London's doing the same thing. So if there's any sniff of another wave of lockdowns, the only safe haven in this market, well, first is cash. Second is going to be some of these blue chip names. So watch yourself on that front. In the crude oil side, 40.93. That's about 0.5 percentage point on the downside. We had some slumping overnight, but we did see a nice rise off some decent DOE inventories number, which we'll cover here in a little bit. Currently trading, as I mentioned, about 40.93 for that front line. Back into the curve, down about the same percentage point, about 0.5 percentage point, 43.08. Natural gas front month did really good, 5.5 percentage points. Seeing some really nice smaller builds in the natural gas storage was good to see. $2.78 back into the curve, only about a percentage point on that back end. $3.03, excuse me, or about 2 cents. XOP was our E&P securities contract, 44.84. That's up 1.5%. Leader today in terms of what's going on. So you know what that means? It means things are going to continue to be volatile. If you see the XOP contract leading in terms of gains, that means it's just a volatile. It's a volatile trading day. OIH Oilfield Services up 0.8 percentage points, about 101.97. When we look at our biggest movers on the equity side, downside first, Camber Energy Inc. down 6.5 percentage points. High Point Resources, still a great website, 6 percentage points on the downside, 21 cents. Gulfport Energy Corporation, they were down to 30 cents or about 10% off them. On the upside, Cosmos Energy's up 6.5 percentage points, $1.19. Tenseco Gas up 2.95 cents, 11.6 percentage point. And Sanchez Midstream Parts. You want to talk about some volatile trading? Holy smoke! They've been up, down, up 11%, 74 cents. Again, a lot of what's going on with Sanchez has to do with what's going on with Mesquite Energy, which is their biggest shareholder, and formerly Sanchez Upstream, which has now rebranded itself because it's attempting to burn itself to the ground, actually. So we'll be following that story very closely. Stu, what do you have on the international news desk today? It's kind of a light day. I'm looking at the feed here. It was pretty light today, wasn't it?
Very light, but we did have some fairly interesting things here. Total is following along BP and all the other majors. They're partnering with Adani in India, and they are looking to produce 2.1 gigawatts of solar in their generation. And if you can tell by my beautiful map here, they are looking at taking over India in solar panels.
Do you want to know what I hear of any time I hear gigawatts? Have you seen Back to the Future?
Yes.
0.21 gigawatts. We need 1.21 gigawatts.
Yes. Okay, we're there. Okay. Totals, European refining margin downstream has turned negative in Q3.
Great Scott!
Yeah, negative means a little hard to do profit.
Not good.
So that kind of tells you that they are looking to go to the solar to get rid of their downstream. Now,
Interesting.
While we're on downstream, Petrobras is also lagging, but this one's different. They normally have 4 contracts for next year. Okay. They're only putting out 1 contract for this next year. So downstream is having some real issues.
Which is interesting because downstream notoriously high capital intensive, but also fairly decent returns. So that's very interesting to see the shift in where that money's being made. Fascinating.
When you match up stories around the world and they're seeing the same pattern, you got a pattern. This one, Michael, I thought was really pretty funny. That is a huge ship.
Huge.
And it's a big boy. Cost $13 billion. It has a life expectancy of 25 years. This LNG, it's called the Prelude FLNG. It's a floating natural gas station. It is 5 times bigger than a Nimitz class aircraft carrier. Now,
holy smokes.
This thing stopped producing. It's anchored off of Australia, and it stopped producing in February. You want to talk about Shell having some CapEx sitting there not producing anything? Holy cow. I mean,
why is it down again? Do they go into why it's not working? Is there just lack of demand?
Okay, here's the conspiracy theory. They said it's an electrical wire.
Right. An electrical wire. That's really what they said. This thing's been offline since February because of an electrical wire.
Yeah, as a big electrical wire.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is the $13 billion wire. Holy smokes.
Yeah, $13 billion wire.
This is what me and my roommate would call AZ5.
What is
unbelievable. It's long story. Point is that I don't want to go down the conspiracy, but if you're telling me you've got $13 billion of CapEx sitting out there because of a faulty wire, I don't know what to tell you. Anything else on the news desk for you today?
No, we got. I'm disappointed because I had thought 3.
Hey, you were on these peace deals.
I thought I had 3 peace deals nailed down. We only had 1 this week. So tomorrow's Friday. I'm holding out.
Hey, it could be a busy day, but as I always say, if you're not swinging, Stu, you're not ever going to make contact. So even if you swing and miss, hey, you're at least putting yourself in position. When we move over to the shale patch, first we double dip crude inventories, natural gas. The only really other thing before we get into that, Chaparral Energy, as you know, they used to be ticker symbol CHAP, has now successfully completed financial restructuring, raised $35 million in new capital, and now are completely private. We ran it on the news desk this morning. Bolstered its liquidity position. I'm reading the press release here, so don't. These aren't my words. I don't want to say bolster any liquidity position off a company that's gone bankrupt twice. But this is what it reads. The company has bolstered its liquidity position so we can go drill stack wells at 2%. We have bolstered its liquidity position through equitizing its senior notes, $300 million of a revolving exit facility, initial borrowing base of $175 million, and $35 million in second lien convertible notes. They failed to mention that they'll probably use this to go drill some pretty horrendous stack wells, and probably end up back in the same boat that they ended up in. You can read the press release. Like I said, I joke about them going to drill, but that's what I'm gonna look at. If these guys, if I see, I'm permit shopping for Chaparral Energy. If I see permits start dropping in Kingfisher County for Chaparral Energy, I will jump off a cliff because that's an early sign that this thing will be back as what we call Chapter 32. So that's something I'll be watching. We move over to the crude oil inventory side and kind of what's moving markets today. As we mentioned, crude oil up to 41.91. Early on in that trading session, to give you an idea, pit opens about 7:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Overnight weakness drove us down from anywhere from about 40.91. We're currently trading about 39.24 when that 7 o'clock time came around. Pit opens up strong. 9 o'clock, because we're double dipping. Oil was currently trading about 39.80. Inventories come out. We saw a nice little 3.5 or 3.8 million barrel draw. Total crude oil Cushing stocks were finally utilization we expected to drop under 77, came in at about 75.10, which is a little better than I had expected. Gas prices stay flat, $2.17. Total U.S. stocks were 489 million. U.S. fuel production, again, that wasn't the number moving markets today. It was 10.5 million barrels, only about 500,000 barrels on the downside. Pretty interesting, Stu. We heard 1.6 coming offline. I don't know. Did they really turn all that off? Sometimes it's interesting to see when the EIA comes up and drops some of this stuff. You can check this all via the crude oil and DOE dashboards on the world's greatest website, oilandgas360.com. Speaking of natural gas, 46 billion cubic feet build, which is, again, finally bringing us down into our storage level ranges, which is good to see. We've been seeing some higher than average natural gas price or natural gas storage levels. Good to see them come down. No overnight changes in the weather, so this price is this 5% is fairly reflective of what traders are seeing in this current storage report. That, as I mentioned, that back end of the curve is only about 1% down. So the long-term weakness, or not weakness, but that long-term outlook, still not quite as strong. Currently trading 303 for that back end. A slowish day, Stu. We got to get you out of here to the airport. Anything we missed today before we get you on a flight?
No, you did good. It should be a great day to fly.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get you that. I know coming here, that time change helps. You lose an hour going that way. But I think with that, guys, we're going to get out of here, let you get back to work. Finish up your day. Thank you for checking out the 360 Digital Closing Bell Daily Energy Market Summary here on this gorgeous Thursday, October 15, 2020. For Stuart Turley, I'm Michael Tanner. Thank you, guys, and we will see you tomorrow for the Digital Ticker for a whole pass. We have a podcast coming out tomorrow morning, people. Listen to it, subscribe, leave a review.